Okay, it's the beginning of 2017. I thought we'd go through a couple of the starter and beginner toy grade quadcopters that are very popular this year and talk about some of the pros and cons of the different models. Now, starting on the left here, this is actually a newer model of the Hubsan H107. It's called the H108. And it's also put out by a different company called Textra, but it says Textra Hubsan. So I have to assume it's a licensing deal. So this actually was my favorite toy quadcopter to learn on. It's just of the right size, comes in different colors, has a very small controller, easy to haul around. And it's a highly suggested unit for the beginner. The only caution I would say is that maybe the first timer, maybe it should be a second quad because it does not come currently with prop guards on it. The older model, the H107, did come with prop guards. This newer model does not. But one nice thing about this machine is it's not only a beginner machine, but as you get more familiar with it, you'll get really good at fighting the wind, taking it outside on quite windy days. You can change the rate at which it flies so it can fly more aggressively and fight the wind. So it's fun for inside, it's fun for outside. The only slight downside is that no prop guards, so maybe for the rank beginner, you might want something else. Something else might be the next unit in line here, which is an Eachine. I think this is an H6C. And this is very much a clone or a copy of the original Hubsan H107. It looks very similar. Nice thing is it comes complete with the prop guards, and it's a full nice set of prop guards. Comes with a remote. Also has the different rates, the flips, the things like that. You'll see a number of these units with a C after them. That means it has a camera on it. This one actually does have a small camera on it. If you followed us, cameras on these toy quads, we're not really interested. It's not going to make or break a sale for us. Our feeling is that these are for you to get as much experience as possible on the way these work, and a camera can sometimes actually provide more work than it's worth, and that you'll be thinking about the camera instead of thinking about flying the quadcopter. Next up is another great starter machine, the JJRC 1000, and I think it says JJ1000. Neat thing about this machine is if you already have certain brands of Sibna, the very popular quadcopter transceiver, sitting around on your shelf, these will happen to work with them, and you can look online to make sure which units do and which don't. And that means that you can sometimes buy this unit here without the transmitter. I've seen it as low as $13.99. I bought two of them just to have fun, and it has the prop guards. It's easy to see, it's white, it works great, it works with this transmitter. What could be better for a starter quadcopter? So that's another one that I am definitely sold on as a beginner machine. So you can't go wrong with the JJRC 1000, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. Numerous people who have tried that machine like it for that use. So that's one where you can't go wrong. And some of these are low priced enough that you can find yourself, you can buy two of them, and that gives you an extra battery, extra propellers, extra motors, and other parts, and it can be cheaper than buying those parts separately. Stepping up in size, this is the XK250, also known as the Alien. It's somewhat of a clone of numerous other units that, like the Latrex Alias, a few others that have been made that claim to be pretty bulletproof. They got rubberized handles, and some of the pictures show you a bike riding over it and then it still runs. So I haven't tried it myself, but it surely seems like it's fairly stable. And again, this is a beginning quadcopter. They do sell models of it with camera, but our recommendation is get the lowest price standard version of it that you can. Comes with a small transmitter, and it's a little larger in size, so it'll be a little easier for you to see, and therefore it's going to be a little bit more of an outdoor quadcopter than the former 3. On the downside, this machine doesn't seem to like a lot of wind. There are different rate settings, but I wouldn't take this thing outside in over, say, 8 or 10 mile an hour wind, and that's if you know what you're doing. Ideally, if you're a beginner, you'll take these things outside when it's calm or just a slight breeze, so you'll get the idea of how they work. Very civilized flyer. It does what you asked it to. There's a couple different settings in terms of how aggressive you want it to fly. It does the flips. So again, very nice, especially if you can pick it up in the area of $30, $35, which is what it should cost. This little machine here, the Eachine E50, also goes by another name, the JJRC 37, I think. And this is meant to be a copy of these newer selfie drones like the Hover, the Dobby, and the Unique Breeze. Idea being that they're very small, they fit in the pocket, they fold up to whatever level. This has very much toy grade, but your little propeller arms do fold in. It sure doesn't take up much room. Super lightweight. Now, because these units are operated by a smartphone or another device, they don't come with a separate transmitter. And while that might be a good part, it's also a bad part. First of all, the flying of this is a total no-wind situation. So you don't even want to take this out in 5 or 6 or 8 mile an hour winds because it's going to get away from you. We've never liked most of the units that fly with a smartphone, and this one is no exception. The app is actually quite sophisticated, so I see this Eachine E50 more as a technology demonstration. If you want to buy it and learn the app and fly it in low wind and learn the different ways to control it, I think you'll find it's pretty amazing what you can get in there for $50. It'll take pictures and videos of you, of course. But in terms of being something that you're going to learn something from, that's going to help you when you go fly your other craft, I don't really put it into that category. So neat little category demonstration of smartphone operated selfie drone, but they built it obviously to just take advantage of some of the sales of the other units, which tend to sell for $350 to $500. This unit you can find discounted as low as $45, so for $45 you might just want to learn a little bit about how smartphone drones work. So once you have the hang of the toy grade quadcopters, most of them have what they call brushed motors. The motors are going to give way in a little bit. If they have gears, they'll give way. Maybe after as few as 10 or 12 flights, you're going to have to replace the motors, you're going to have to fix them. They only go so fast, they only have so much of a payload. Sooner or later you're going to want to step up, and if you're not going to step way up, right up to the GPS type drone like the Mavic Pro here or Phantom or something like that, and maybe you want to get into the FPV racing, which is going to be a faster, more powerful type of quadcopter. And that's where this unit comes in. This is the XK251. And we have a full review of this on our website. I'll link to that below the YouTube and in the article. And so what this is, it uses a heavier battery. It's definitely a heavier machine. It uses brushless motors. So these are the same type of motors that the fancier quadcopters use. These motors have an almost unlimited lifespan. They'll last many, many hours. So you're not going to have to worry about replacing these motors. And with all this power, you can also lift more weight. You could put a keychain camera on there. You can even put an FPV setup. HK may also sell other versions of this unit that also have some of that in it. It comes with a very, very nice transceiver, and this transceiver isn't only good for this machine. It's generic in terms of it does have a certain protocol that a number of different machines will work with. Also, if you're looking forward to hacking and adjusting and things like that, this radio allows you to go in and change a bunch of the settings, such as how the quadcopter will react to the various stick inputs. So it's a real transceiver, and it gives you a lot more of an idea of what you're going to be dealing with if you start doing a lot of DIY or a lot of racing. So we go all the way from the very simple Hubsan H6, or H8 is another model they make, very low priced. Hubsan's about $30 on sale. The H6 or H6C, you can get them as low as $20, $25. They have an H8 model, same thing, $20 to $25. Here we're talking, again, the same price, depending on whether or not you already have a receiver that will do it. Stepping up in the size, you're in the maybe $40 price range for something like the XK Alien, $40 to $60 for this fancy smartphone operated. Now your brushless quadcopters, they've come way down in price. Used to be you couldn't touch them for less than $200. This one on sale maybe $125, including the receiver. You might need to get an extra battery or two. And then you could get a keychain camera or some FUV equipment. But either way, you're into a lot of fun for not much money. When it's time to step up to the GPS enabled, you know, like your Mavic and your unique Typhoons and things like that, those are starting at about $350. The lowest end unit's probably the Phantom 3 Standard. And the big difference there is two things. One, you have GPS enabled. That means the quadcopter in general is going to stay where you put it in the air. The wind isn't going to blow it away. Also, they have stabilized cameras for video and for still pictures, and they come with apps that help control them. They do waypoints, lots of photographic settings and other things. So they're a much more sophisticated type of a situation. But I think it's important to realize where you're going to go with this. If you're going to go into racing, then there may be no need to ever go with the GPS type of a thing. You're going to go right up to sort of the brushless quadcopters, and then you're going to get fancier ones, some that you build yourself, some that you modify. That's sort of a whole section of the hobby in itself. Well, anyway, I'm going to do a little writing below this video, and I'll edit this video. Just wanted to give you an idea of perhaps a good way to get started in this hobby. It's 2017, you want to get going. Number of suggestions here, and none of them are likely to disappoint you. Thanks. Bye.